Good morning, Colin. Glad to see you once more again.
As always, a pleasure.
We've had some developments that have taken place in St. Vincent over the last week or two, which need looking very carefully at. Because we have to look at it in its historical perspective, and we look at what is real. I remember, I was the Minister of Finance some years ago when we were discussing salaries, wages and salaries for the public service. And we had our internal meetings in the Ministry of Finance and with other ministries, and we tried to come up with a salary increase to pay our civil servants. I remember those days very well. I was a relatively young civil servant at the time. As a matter of fact, at that time, I was about 26 or 27 years old. And I was involved in a lot of that kind of activity, wages and salaries. And I remember at one stage, we had to deal with the salaries for civil servants, including teachers. And after going through all the information on the economy and so on, we decided we'll give a 15% increase to civil servants. I remember Conrad Sayers was then in government, and he was involved in negotiations with me at the union level when we offered that 15% increase to civil servants. Ralph Gonsalves was in opposition, and he was saying the government could give 30%, and they should give 30% when we were offering 12%. There was a big hue and cry over that in St. Vincent and Grenadines. But I ain't budge. I stuck to the 12%, which we had calculated on the basis of the information we had on costs in the public service, information we had about the unions and so on, and we stuck to 12%. I got plenty licks of that. Sometimes I think I could still remember some of the heat from the licking. I was condemned left, right, and center in this country. You could well afford it, You could well afford to pay the 30%. I listened. It was my job as Minister of Finance, having discussed with public service in finance, the public service union and so on, it was my job to make a determination, not recommendation, the Ministry of Finance and therefore the government will make on the salary negotiations. And it's in that exercise that we arrived at the 12%. Gonsalves said they could afford to pay the 30%. Why anybody them? Because no way. I knew what we had worked on. I knew there's no way that this country could have afforded at that time 30%. If we had done that at that time, I wonder what we've been doing now. Now we're giving 1%. Now we're giving 1%, And people expect to be happy with that. And we were giving 15, but we could have given 30. Think about it. 30% increase in the public service. Public service is not just like any other union out there, public service union. Unions in the public sector have to take all things into consideration, including what the impact on the economy is going to be with regard to what salary increase you give. What is worse, at that time, we had just had a review of the classification of salaries in the civil servants. The civil servants has brought up salaries just before that. So I knew we were standing in solid ground. Some people got many more dollars from the reclassification of the civil service than they got from the salary review. So they got both. So here we come now to this time with the 12%. Maybe I should ask Ralph for 12 instead of 1. So what he's offering now is 1%. 1% for 2018. 1.5% for 2019. And 2% for 2020. 2%. 1.5% and 1%. Think about it carefully now. They said I would bring hardship on the public service. Hit them plenty licks so they can't bend. But we have long paid that. We have long paid that 12%. And the economic growth in St. Vincent and the Grenadines in those years under the NDP was greater than it is now. The economic growth they said we could get with the 12% was greater than any economic growth we have now. The economic growth we have now in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the government can only afford to offer 1%. 1% increase for 2018. Now imagine if that was me, they kill me. 20%. 1%, not 20, 1%. And what does that really mean? What does that 1% really mean? What does it mean to the pockets of our public servants, our civil servants? You know, if let's say a fellow making a salary now, a young lady making a salary of $1,000, just use a figure. I'm not saying that's any particular person's salary. Mm-hmm. But if she was making $1,000 and she got 1%, you know how much money she can get in her hand? An increase in salary from that $1,000, she will get $10. That's the salary increase that she'll get. $10. Think about it. 1% increase you get. It's $10 you get. Think about it. Oh boy. If you get 1.5 years, as some people get for 29, 1.5%, and some people get for 2019, you get $15. And they say they're paying 2% for 2020. How much dollars do you think you get? $20.
So these...
I have to say this again because it is something I was very concerned about at the time, and I opposed it very publicly in St. Vincent the Grenadines. The government formed an organization called NESDEC, called the National Economic and Social Council. The unions and other organizations were invited to join NESDEC. This institution will discuss government policies and things that happen in the economy and so on with the government. NESDEC. The unions joined NESDEC. I oppose, if anybody or organization, I oppose joining the government and NESDEC, was the union. I oppose them becoming a member of NESDEC. Because I say when you sit down with government to negotiate salaries and so on, you won't have a leg to stand on if you're part of NESDEC. Because it'll be like agreeing with all the government is doing. And I refuse to let the NDP, I was president of the NDP at the time, I refuse to let the NDP become a member of NESDEC. As economist, I could not see it working at all. So NDP got to keep out of that. One of the reasons why the government can't, the unions can't come out now, I couldn't come out now, because they participated in NESDEC to some extent. So you're in fact being infiltrated, and your thoughts infiltrated by government policies. Because the government only do its policies, not yours, as a union. And I oppose, that is why NDP never became a member of NESDEC. And I vowed it will never become a member of NESDEC. These are some of the things, that take place. Now, as a union, you come and accept 1%. 1%. And over a period of 4 years, you're accepting 3%, 4%, over 4 years, or over a 2-year period, you accept it, 4%. Think about it. It don't make any sense at all. It's a reflection on the state of the economy, where we have the figures before us this morning. The 1% and all the figures we have before us this morning, and how much public servants will get, is because the general state of our economy. It's not doing well. Not doing well at all. And therefore the government finds itself in a position where they can't offer more because they mess up the system in the first case. In the same way when we went 15, they want to go 30.
Empty promises.
Yeah, empty. No substance behind it. That's the same situation you're facing on again. And I'm saying, this 1% is so low, I'd be ashamed to give it. What does it mean? I just want to make those general comments. In a few days' time, I'll be doing a more detailed presentation on this whole matter with the court and so on, and the public servants and so, and doing a more detailed on that. Because these issues are very serious, very, very serious issues. Once you start dealing with pensions and those kinds of payments, you have to know what you're doing. You have to know what you're doing. You are dealing with people's expectations about the future and the pockets their pockets in the future. They can't get away from that, you know. They can't get away from it at all.
I